All right, welcome everybody. So my name is Peter van Beek. I'm the Director of Global Key Accounts at Semex. In my role, I work with large progressive farms all around the world, including FirstFarms in Slovakia. So I'm very pleased that we take you this evening to Slovakia. We are aware that we live in strange times these days, and our thoughts are a lot with the people in Ukraine and the impact the war is having on them, which is currently happening. We will address this later on because there's also some impact on the labor of FirstFarms. So stay with us to learn as well how this is actually impacting this large progressive farm operation in Central Eastern Europe. So I'm very pleased that we are this evening with FirstFarms, which is, in my opinion, and I'm sure one of the most progressive dairy farming operations in Europe. To start things off, we are first going on a virtual tour at FirstFarms of a couple of minutes. So please join us and look at the video. So I'm pleased that we have two members of the team of FirstFarms on our webinar today. First of all, Sjaak van Burgstede. Sjaak was born and raised in the Netherlands, and he's holding a bachelor degree in agriculture and a master in innovative dairy chain management. He has been in the lead in farms in the Netherlands and in Germany for the majority of his career. He did have a sidestep for 3 years, where he was a lecturer dairy animal husbandry at the Van Hal Larenstein University of Applied Sciences in the Netherlands. Since 3.5 years, he's the dairy farm manager at FirstFarms in Slovakia. So welcome, Sjaak. Next to that, we have Vladimir Frank. Vladimir grew up in Slovakia, and after graduating from the private secondary veterinary school in Bratislava, he started as an AI technician at FirstFarms. Today, he's responsible for the reproduction management and the breeding team at FirstFarms. So welcome, Vladimir, as well.
Welcome.
As I told you, thank you all for joining us today. Before we really start, first some housekeeping here. At any time during the presentation, feel free to ask a question in the Q&A box on the bottom of your Zoom screen. We will be addressing these questions at the end of the webinar as time allows. So, and following or after today's session, you will receive an email with the recording and also a featured article about FirstFarms. So where we will talk about today. So we will really go into the depth in the FirstFarms DNA, as you would say. So what's their vision, their mission, and their strategy, and what's their ownership structure. Next to that, we will address the reproduction and the genetic strategy at FirstFarms. And last but not least, we'll have an important part where we'll talk about the labor management at FirstFarms and how FirstFarms is doing everything in their capacity to empowering staff. And at the end, we will have the questions and answers from the team. So as you will see, so this is a map of Central and Eastern Europe, where FirstFarms is really central located. So Slovakia is, a former part of the Austria-Hungarian Empire till World War I. After that, they were one state with Czech Republic, named Czechoslovakia. And after 1993, they have peacefully separated into Czech Republic and Slovakia. And they have been a member from the European Union since 2004. Today's population in Slovakia is 5.5 million citizens. And the climate is between temperate and continental climate with relatively warm summers and cold and cloudy winters. So if you look at the country as such, the key pillars under the economy are for sure the car manufacturing. And basically they're the largest car manufacturer, one of the largest car manufacturers of the world, as well electrical engineering. If you look at agriculture, it's accounting for 3.5% of the gross domestic product, and 40% of the land is being cultivated. The major agricultural products are sugar beets, potatoes, wheat, barley, fruit, forest products, corn, pigs, cattle, poultry, and sheep. In total, there are around 125,000 dairy cows in Slovakia. And while the average farm size is 22 cows per farm only, over 70% of the cows is actually housed at 12% of the farms with more than 100 dairy cows. So to go a little bit more in detail on FirstFarms, they have production in 4 different countries. So Sjaak, would it be possible to give us a complete overview of these farming operations that FirstFarms is looking after?
Yeah. Hello, Peter. Thank you for having us. As you mentioned already, FirstFarms is a Danish stock-listed company, and the headquarters is in Denmark, but the operationals are in Czech Republic with slaughter pig production, Hungary pig production at the moment 2,500 sows, but there is an expansion in progress for another 2,000. Then we have in Slovakia the milk production, and also pig production as well. And in Romania we have only crop farming. So, and what is the strategy for the long term is partly organic growth and partly by financing, and to be stable and one of the most best operating profitable companies in agriculture in Europe. That's actually the long-term goal. How we want to achieve this is actually at the moment we are still in the primary production, and we want to do this with skilled people and produce high quality consumer-oriented products on mixed farms. That means every location has next to animals also arable land that we can use the manure to make a sort of circular approach to agriculture. And what you see also on this picture is that we are spread over 4 countries. That's partly because of risk spreading, when it will be quite a miracle when all 4 countries have to do with drought or severe weather. And also we have these pillars of crop, pigs, and milk, plus a land portfolio in which we develop an area to make which we can sell for a higher price.
Okay. So Sjaak, could you walk us as well through the unique ownership structure, which is quite unique in Europe, I would say, from what I've seen.
Yes. Well, the company is established in 2006, and quite fast afterwards they brought this company to the stock market in Denmark, and currently there are around 2,700 owners. We have a board in Denmark, and operational we have the CEO and a small staff in Denmark as well. And then we have per location a farm manager, and per pillar there is a CEO, a COO, so that there is a quite a good interaction between actually the top level in Denmark and the local operation. And there's a good interaction and information flow that we can develop and align the activities.
Okay, so maybe next slide. Can you explain a little bit about, I think there's a nice overview of the goals and the business structure as well. Can you explain a little bit more about this as well?
Well, you see here the 4 pillars. The aim is to grow in every part step by step, and to make it a very strong body. And the underlying asset is our hectares, and the expectation is that the hectares will increase in price, but also the operational must be profitable. Otherwise, we have to rethink what we are doing. Now we have crop farming is quite interesting, of course, especially in the coming period where we have extreme high prices. But also we have this pig production, and we produce all the feed ourselves. Protein is partly bought, but in general we try to produce as much of the feed ourselves.
Okay, and it's like, in 2006 it started. Is it like all the purchases were done now? I think this will explain a little bit more. Can you tell us a bit about the acquisitions that were recently done?
Well, they started in Slovakia. There they did several purchases to make it as the company as we have now on this location. But further on, they made these steps to buy in, now you can see it on the slide, in 2017 in Hungary, 18 in Czech Republic, and so on, that to create this bigger body for the operation. On this slide, we see also an acquisition in June 2020 in Romania. There they made some adjustments, and it is already sold now for a way better price. So that's this development pillar. Doing this, we generate actually a lot of money, but also these operational, they are brought into a very profitable situation. Of course, sometimes you cannot influence the prices. Pigs were not that good until a few months ago. Now it's getting better, but it is, as I mentioned before, it will be a small miracle when all the pillars are not functional at a certain time.
Yeah, so that portfolio approach is really, really helping from that point of view, I understand.
Exactly. That's how it is, yeah.
So FirstFarms is determined to be one of the best European operated and profitable companies producing agricultural products. Can you share the strategy and vision, how they get there?
Yeah, well, you see here these 4 points: development of organization. That means the management is coached to be better, to perform better, to also get the employees into a better status of performance. Also to align activities. If we have to buy, let's say, soy meal for the cows, we also make in the same tender the needs for the pigs as well, that we can use this scale advantage. Same as improve of efficiency. We have to get better, and because of we have different legs, we can also learn from each other and give advice that this improvement is going faster than if you are, let's say, alone on one farm. Then this business development is aimed on expansion, not only quantity but also quality. Like maybe we, when there is nothing for expansion, then you can also look for adding value for your produced products. And the last thing is this is sustainability. We are in market where the consumer has a very high power. So if you don't produce for their needs, then you are out of the business. So this sustainability is a major factor where we are focusing on. And maybe to give examples how we are performing, we produce sugar beets, and our company got from the sugar factory the prize of being the most sustainable partner in their client portfolio. To be better as organization development, the Hungarian pig producers, they producing company was chosen this year as the best agricultural employer, and maybe the last one, the pig producing company in Slovakia, was the winner of the top agro as a well-performing farm. So from that point of view, we are doing very well. I don't see our dairy business in this as well. So, but maybe this will help us to come in that direction as well.
Okay, so you know, we talked a little bit about that owner structure. So
sorry,
how does that make? Yeah.
Maybe I want to add on this company. We have this sound maybe a little bit pathetic, but we have this FirstFarms DNA. That is what we spread in the company, that we are responsible for what we're doing, and we have passion because we love our job and respect for where we are working with. That it means with the employees, because they are for extreme high value for us, but also the animals, crops, and soil, that we have that for full respect, and that we, by this approach, spread this over the whole company, that we have the same approach on all facilities.
Okay, so and how does it, you know, what's the you know, that ownership structure? Is that reasoning behind this corporate social responsibility that FirstFarm feels as a company? Do you think, how does that, you know, what's your responsibility to the investors basically, next to the farm income and the profit?
Well, in fact, the basic for if you are buying shares is that you want to have a financial benefit. So that's, of course, the major point that we are working on. But it's also that we produce or work on a way that the shareholder is also proud on being a shareholder of this company. And that we can do with this, you have here this picture with these 7 points. And for us, it starts with the soil. If you have a good soil, you have good soil life, then you have good crops, good feed. So that's why we have this mixed farm to make it circular. And if you have good feed, you have good, you have less health issues and a better production. And if you have a good digestible feed, you have less greenhouse gases. And so you can go through that circle, that you have on all points a positive effect, which gives then in the end benefit, the income increase. So actually doing this point, biodiversity as well, and water and quality of the water, we are taking care of that we reuse a lot, and we will also install an installation in which we can operate the wastewater. Now it's removed from the farm, that we will reuse again. So to make it as sustainable as possible, because we are convinced that on the long term, those who are not following this route will probably not survive in this business.
Okay, that's, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think over here it shows as well 4 points of the European Union that was stated, but you know, have been highlighted by FirstFarms.
Yes,
okay, talk a little bit more about that.
This is what we have in the CSR report, and that we focus on 4 points out of this UN report, and that we are working on, that there is no hunger in the world. But that's, of course, not only in our hands. There's a way bigger influence from politics, etc. But what we have, where we have influence, is that we deliver decent work and work on economic growth. That is what we have, where we have a high influence on. And this climate action, we are working on solar panels, biogas, and the soil quality, and this circular production and manure and feed. So that brings that we have in our own hands, and that we are strongly working on, so that we, in the end, live on the land, that we keep, that we have an eye, that we are as an employer on the rural area, that we have also impact on the communities which are surrounding us, that we also support in certain activities.
Okay, so you have talked a little bit about the consumer and their ever increasing demands. So from the dairy point of view, really, so what are you doing to create a more sustainable future? What these consumers demand more and more today?
Yeah, actually, it is actually very, not very simple, but we try to work as good agronomic practice, and that sounds simple, but it is not so easy as it sounds. But as an example, consumers are very keen on use of hormones and keen on use of medication. So in the last 3 years, we reduced the use of hormones with 30%, and we used the use of medication is also reduced with 20%, and we shifted the use from medication or drugs from 50-50 in the past to 40 drugs and 60% prevention, and that we create a surrounding in which the cow can perform or express her capabilities, and that we don't force them, but it should come because of the circumstances, give that opportunity.
Okay. Let's focus a little bit more on the dairy production side. Can you describe a little bit, the general stats on the dairy production in Slovakia?
Yeah, well, we have now on this location 2,600 milking cows. Further, we have close-up heifers and dry cows. We have the young stock on this location until 5 months, and then they go to subsidy where they get bred. After calving, we have the cows in a group where is a very low density to get them recovering after the calving. They are in that group around 4 weeks. Also the ration is adjusted that they are not forced to milk. They are a little bit, let's say, suppressed in the production. They have a lot of roughage in it, so that these cows can start up very well. After these 4 weeks, they go into the high production groups where they get bred. And as soon as they are pregnant, this a little bit depending on the space, they go to the pregnant groups. And 1 week before calving, before drying off, we put them in a special group where we dry them off with a special ration, and then we dry them physically off. Yeah.
Yeah, so the dairy production side as such, is it kind of at a max of capacity, or are there some future plans for further expansion, or how do you look at it?
The idea is that we want to build a stable around 450 cows for the fresh group, but that's also the maximum because our permission will not allow us to get more. So that's
so you will be maxed on that production side.
yeah, it's a bit of a pity, but it is as it is. So then we have to see it for other options and or opportunities.
Okay.
Yeah, we milk our cows in 2 times 40 rotaries. In the past, they had this design, so there we work with. It's also possible. And yeah, at the moment we produce around 37 kilo of milk. Our goal is to get to 42, and we milk at the moment twice a day, and we think that we can make some extra progress in production with 2 times milking, because still we make some mistakes, and if we make less mistakes, automatically your production will increase. That's quite simple for me. At the moment we are at the replacement rate for the last 4 or 5 months 30%, and we want to achieve 27, 28 when possible, but it's not a must. The economics will be leading in our decision making if it must be still 2 times milk or 3 times and whatever. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we know reproduction is one of the drivers, behind dairy farming, behind production, behind for sure milk production. So I'm very glad that we have today the reproduction manager of FirstFarms with us as well, Vladimir. So Vladimir, can you tell me a little bit more about the objectives of FirstFarms on the reproduction? And we heard a little bit from Sjaak about the reduce of hormones, but can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Hello, Peter. Firstly, Peter, thank you for your invite. Our goal is produce high amounts of milk. Yes, it's firstly, maybe, and with good components. Yes, because I think if we talk about our price of the milk is now really interesting. Yes. The second thing, we improve the health status of the farm. Yes, I think, because we start breed with Immunity Plus program bulls. Yes, I think maybe this is one good choice which we do. And the second thing, these goals are reflected in the FirstFarm client index, which maintains a strong focus on production traits. We have a 50% of production traits. We have a hold rate about 40%, and the 10% is confirmation. Yes. Okay. Because this was our goal, or this is our goal.
That's your breeding goal, exactly. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, so maybe if we can show next slide, because I know you have done some modifications in your reproduction protocols over the years. So can you tell us a little bit more about your protocol for the cows, what we are displaying over here?
Okay, fine. We start with breeding 60 days after cowing. Yes. On the past time we start 50 days, but now I think our cows is really stronger than we had on the past time. The cow, no heat cows, yes, go to the off-cinch protocols, yes. But we have I think a really good NetApp system, because we had on the past time on other systems, because we have a cow manager system, for example, or no NetApp, but sorry,
I think you had the smart bow as well. That
yes,
you trialed
yes.
several systems. I know that. So
yes, and we now have a NetApp. Yes, but the difference between these systems is, I think, or I feel, is the NetApp is better, because on other systems our cows lose more sensors, for example, or we had more accidents if we talk about the health of the cows. Yes, or if you talk about the manure engine. Yes. Yes. Okay, but we talk about the reproduction again. The cow which without no heat, yes, we start short GnRH. Yes, firstly, all cows which is days in milk between 81 and 87 days. Yes, these cows going to the GnRH. After GnRH, yes, after 7 days, again we apply PGF shot 2 milliliters. Yes. Maybe I said the know-how is who and when apply these hormones, yes, because this is a really important thing, because you know the most of person or people like doing this job, yes, but the question is if it's 100% do it the same thing, yes. This is maybe
Yeah.
our important thing or why we have a good results.
That compliance is extremely important in
Yes.
synchronization protocols. It will make your or break your synchronization
Mhm.
protocol. So to play a little bit the advocate of the devil here, because I visit a lot of large progressive dairies, and what I see, lots of farms do only timed AI for the first breeding, so something like double off sync. Well, some farms also start with the prostaglandin shots for pre-sync, and
Yes.
to be able to catch a little bit more cows before the off sync. So, but I know the hormone use is there. A reduction is an objective for FirstFarm, so that's probably the majority of the reason. But we'll see later as well that you're getting actually very good results here. So I think that people want to understand what percentage of cows are actually bred before the off sync. Do you know that?
Yes. Yes, we bred about 28% of
In the
with
off
time
sync, eh?
in the
Yeah,
off
in
sync.
the off sync.
Yes, in the off
Exactly.
sync only, because for example, if I look back, yes, 1 year ago or 2 years ago, yes, we bred, for example, 50% of cow with off sync, yes, and we have the same time as the heat detection system, but another, yes, but I think. If we talk about again the fresh group cows, yes, or close-up cows, we have a really good management. I think, yes.
So do you happen to know what your conception rates are for your cows at First AI? Because I know you use sex semen and beef semen. Might be nice to know for the audience to know those conception rates.
Okay, if we talk about the conception rates, we have about the sex semen 42% conception rate, and if you talk about the beef semen, we have 54%. Yes, this is one thing why we do crossbreeding. Yes, if we talk about the cows, yes, because we majority applicated Belgian blue bred.
Yeah, for the beef on dairy strategy, exactly.
Yes, of course. Yeah. And we choose all time. We choose bulls which have a really easy calving, as you know, because we after calving don't have more diseases than we had on the past time, as for example.
Okay, maybe for the next slide, because I think you worked out your heifer protocols great
yes,
as
sir.
well.
Okay.
Can you explain a little bit what you do with the heifers?
Firstly, we start collect data about the heat with NetApp, yes, by giving a responder to heifers in the age from 2 and 11 months, yes. Then the heifer, which is older than 12 months and all have more than 390 kilograms, yes, these heifer have a 1 month chance for a normal national heat, yes. I think this is the idea, or this is the know-how, because we bred with this system minimum of 48% of heifer, and the next 49 or 48% heifer we breed after first PGF or second PGF. Yes, this is a little bit clever, yes, but this means we save a lot of money if we talk about the cider cinch, yes, because the cider cinch is really expensive, I think, and we bred after cider only 3%, 2 or 3% heifer. Yes.
Okay, so what is the average age of calving at FirstFarms at the moment, and where is it moving to?
Now its first calving is about 23 months old. Yes, it's average.
And the conception rates you get at first AI? Do you know that?
After first AI, we have a conception rate 63%. Yes.
That's with sex semen?
And
yes.
Right. Yes, with sex semen, and 55% for secondary AI. Yes.
Okay. No, I think that's great. So if we go to the next slide, I think it also shows the shift you have made in the timing of that first breeding after July 2020. Can you explain again a little bit? So you told it now before, because you said, okay, before we started 50 days and still we had 50% going into the backdoor off sync basically, and now you have 10 days later, but you have actually you have now only 28% that goes into the backdoor off sync. So I think that's a great achievement. If we look at the next slide, what we did look at the Dairycom data and compared your performance in the period before and after. And I can, it's just because I've been working, with you guys, and I've been following this step closely when you did it, and I thought it was very impressive because both your insemination rate went up, your conception rates kept the same, and your preg rate went up. So I'm very, pleased with, though taking maybe not the most logical step for some people's mind. Actually, you improved your performance with less hormone usage. So I think that's very nice.
Yes.
Maybe
I think this is really nice picture, yes, because we save more hormones, yes, for cows. And the last picture is really interesting. Yes, every season, if you check, every season we improve. If you talk about the production, yes, it's first lactation, second or third and more. And I think this is our goal, yes. And I believe to the future we milking more and more milk, yes, and high quality milk with more components and with really held herds, yes.
So what are your components? You've been talking a little bit about it. Do you know it from top of your mind?
Or every time when we choose a new bulls, yes, for example, we choose the bulls which have more fat or proteins, yes, production, because I think this is really important thing if we talk about the price of the milk, yes, firstly.
Do you know what percentage you are milking today in fat and protein or shack? Maybe?
Now we have maybe about 4%. Yes, 4% fat, if you talk about the fat, yes.
Yeah.
And 3.5 if you talk about the protein.
Okay.
Yes.
Very well. Okay, let's move to your genetic strategy. Yeah, you have explained already what you're doing in your client index with Semex Works, with our our representative in Slovakia, Szilard, who is working closely with you guys. Maybe if we go to the next slide, you can explain as well, or Shaq, because you did move quite a bit in terms of conventional semen usage towards sexed and beef only today. So Shaq, or do you want to explain why you have taken that step and what it is today?
Well, at the moment we use on heifers 90% sex semen and 10% we have the code cull, but cull means that we don't use these for ourselves, but we will sell them eventually for export as a pregnant heifer. And on cows we have 15% sex semen and 85% beef. And these beef bulls we use actually on in the past on the lower end, but now on the 85%. Why not producing more sex semen and more heifers also by the cows? We are a bit limited in our capacity, so if we want to raise more heifers for export or whatever, it will reduce the welfare of the ones we want to keep. So, and by doing this step, beef bull, we still have a high benefit of these crossbreeds. If we compare this system to, let's say, conventional semen, also on the cows, we roughly have 150,000 to 180,000 euro extra. If you have if we would have the space for more heifers, probably it will be equal, but then you have the risk for instead of selling these animals at 14 days, you have to keep them 1.5 years. So it's for us actually quick money, more or less.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a lot of additional bottom line if you look at
exactly
the premium what you get on the beef calf and the amount of beef on dairy calves you're able to create now. Because of your aggressive sex strategy for your replacements.
Exactly. And of course, in average, these cows are 2 or 3 days longer in pregnancy because they are a little bit heavier than the cows. But we have only a slightly higher metritis in the cows, and we don't see any effect on the preg rate. So for us, it's an easy way of working.
Okay, and you told me you're culling 10% of your heifers. So how do you determine which ones to cull?
Well, at the moment we use these. We when we how do you call this? Before we breed them, we scale them, and then in the end we see which are close for calving, or during the pregnancy we check again. Hey, we have anyhow too many heifers, and then we select partly by pedigree and partly by development. These ones we will give another owner.
So are you looking at genomics there as well?
Yes.
We started genomic testing 1.5 years ago. And of course, it's an extra parameter of selecting, but the most important thing of selection is always how is the health status of these animals. Because if the genetics are super, but that animal was as a calf severe sick or whatever, then it will not perform as you expect. So health is criteria number 1, health and growth, and the third one will be the genomics.
Okay. So if you move to the next slide, I know you have been looking quite a bit at immunity. You've been using quite some time some immunity plus bulls at your farm. So Vladimir, could you tell a little bit more about your experience with the progeny from those bulls?
Yes, Peter. Yes, you know, on the past time we have only few bulls from Immunity Plus program. Yes, and then we have the first results. Yes. I remember when we analyzed these results, and we have really positive trend if we check the daughter of these bulls. And you see, yes, we have less problems and less cooling. If we talk about the cooling rate, yes, for example, mainly if you talk about the cows which your brachiation is or cooling to 0 to 60 days after calving, yes, and you know we have less abortions, we have a less lambs problem, laminis problem, metritis, milk fever, yes, and I think this is a good choice or good road, yes, to the future, and this is one thing why we like, yes. For example, this year, buy more bulls from Immunity Plus program, and then we see, yes, this positive trend and positive impact.
Oh, that's great. So I know that, for example, with the herd monitors, you have been working closely with some of the universities. So Sjaak, can you maybe explain a little bit more about the relationship you developed with the universities, and have ongoing research going on at FirstFarms at a lot of times?
Yeah, well, let's say the activities stopped 2 years ago because of the COVID, but before it was actually more or less on a daily basis that we had or students or PhD persons who did some research, which was partly, let's say, initiated by ourselves. What can we do? Let's say a cluster management, as we have seen here, and ketose detection and detection systems. That helps us forward. Also, this testing of sensors and testing detection of diseases in cows. It helps us to be more alert, because you are talking about topics which probably are not always in your focus. So and by discussing, you probably get also more perspective of how to approach certain issues. And they are externals. They have no interest of selling us something. So these are more or less objective externals who look at your farm, at your data, and by these discussions, you come to maybe insights which you have never discovered when you are more related to commercial parts. You know, as Stephen Covey would say, you have to sharpen the saw every time again. Otherwise, you go into a certain suboptimal modus, which is not working. And we had also in the past a veterinarian who is now working for the University of Berlin. We every now and then send him our dairycom data to have his cross vision on our system and what we are doing. And this is all because they are external. They have no commercial binding. I see that as a vital information to make progress. And you are very close to maybe innovative activities, or at least we are, by the discussions, always attracted to that topic. And then you look, hey, are we still on the right track, or should we adjust a little bit?
I think it's impressive. I think it's good. You know, I've seen a lot of those kind of relationships developed in North America, but we don't see them as much in Europe, unfortunately. It's very nice that you take the opportunity to provide the platform to these universities to do this research, as well take the advantage of their new ideas, of their research for practical implementation. So
for us, it's definitely a win-win situation.
Exactly. Okay. So if we look a little bit more at the labor picture at FirstFarms, I know you have made some changes there over the years, Sjaak. Can you explain a little bit what how the farm is organized? I think there's a very nice org chart you provided to us.
Well, this is actually a very hierarchical structure. And we have the CEO, you have me, then you have this layer of middle management. In the end, you need a structure which tells an employee which route to go. But in practice, it's actually this layer of middle management, this 8 people who have a huge responsibility in the company. The reason is that if you lower the responsibility in the company, it's brought to smaller tasks for every middle management. And they work according to certain protocols, but the request is, okay, you have the protocol, but you have to look left and right from the protocol to see what is the step before you and after you doing. And if there are issues, then it is needed that they have this discussion in the office or on the spot. Why is this happening? And by doing this, they also come with solutions. And if they come with a solution, they will make that the solution works. If I come with a solution, sometimes it's a bigger discussion, it's logical. But if I come with a solution and they are not committed to that solution, it's a hard job to get it implemented. So we try always to come with a discussion and that we come with arguments to solve problems and or make improvements. how you want to call it. But and it is also easier for me if I have to monitor all the protocols every time, and because a protocol is as strong as the monitoring, I have to be very active, and that's not a problem. But if I can lower this responsibility in the organization, then it's also a sort of motivation because they did it, you know. And if they did it, it's also and they achieved something. So it is for me, but also for themselves, an easy way of working, because they can also it is all interrelated. What if we want to have a good calf, a good cow, we need a good calf. If we want to have a good calf, we need good cluster management. So every step in this organization is somehow related, and to make this as we do it now, we have actually a smooth process. And of course, but there can be moments that I have to say, now we do it like this, because there is no decision or whatever. But it is preferred that we set some goals, and that they support us with ideas or strategies to achieve these goals.
Okay, yeah, I think that's you know, it's not just top-down management. It's really working as a team, and a team approach. I think this is a very nice picture, actually. Could you yeah, maybe Vladimir wants to give this example, but could you give some kind of an example what we saw happening over here, Sjaak?
To explain who's on the picture, on the left side there's the veterinarian, then we have a person from the calving area, then we have the inseminator, then we have the herd manager, calving area, inseminator. And they, as a coincidence, when we were making some pictures, they were grouped and discussing topics about the process. So you see that several disciplines are more or less gathered and discuss what is happening and how to improve. And that is actually the process which I like to see, because in the end there is a conclusion and solution, which is implemented. And because it's thought over by them, we also create a high motivation of make that to a success.
Yeah, exactly, and you know, and I think it's nice that, you know, by providing responsibility, providing initiative, and also you know, you allow them to watch outside their shop, to cooperate together, because everything is connected in a farm, right? So
exactly, and
this is yeah,
giving this space, it's also it creates an environment in which they can perform, they can express their capabilities. And by doing this, you also create a sort of learning environment, because it's everything what you do on the farm, in the end, it is teamwork. And by doing this, they learn from each other. I'm always available as backup and support in these processes. But and I have a sort of framework in which I think we should work. But the main thing is they do it themselves, and this learning effect is vital for, let's say, continuous improvement.
So you know, we promised at the start of the webinar we would address a little bit the situation in Ukraine. So you know, we know that Slovakia is sharing a border with Ukraine. Does the war that's currently happening in Ukraine has any impact already on the staff on farm or on the situation on farm?
Yes, because we have 25 Ukrainians working on the farm, and one of the male workers was in the Ukraine, so he's not able to come back. Then we supported them to get family to Slovakia. So we have people driving to the border and pick up family and relatives. So we have now doubled the number of Ukrainians in our housing. And yeah, if there is more needed, then we do so, because they are in a very shitty situation. And if we can support, we do so. But it can mean that on the long term, that our resources from the Ukraine are cut off. That can happen. But it's for everybody more or less a black box what will be in 2 months.
Yes, exactly, and you cannot imagine what an impact it has on these people, these Ukrainian co-workers.
Well, no, it's until now they yeah, how do you call this? They do the activity and they do it still on the used quality, but as everybody, they are partly in a shock state, as I sense it, which is completely normal.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's just a pity how to see a resolution. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shaq and Vladimir. Feel free to visit the FirstFarms website for some more information. I want to make you aware that you can still send in questions at the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. So while we wait for a little bit more questions to come in, I want to make you aware that on the next series, the next webinar in our series will be after the proofs, so SAR summary news, at the 8th of April, where you will have, hear from our experts about our Holstein and Jersey lineups, as well developments in the proofs and in the genetic industry. So we look forward to meet you again at April 8th, 2022. So please visit our website and register. All right, so there's quite some questions that came in. So the first one was interesting, came already in at start. So any idea what's the main driver of the 20% increase in the share price of FirstFarms last week? Shaq, did you see that, or are you aware about that?
I saw it. We have 20,000 hectares, and we have milk, meat, all kinds of production. So people are afraid of the food supply. So we see it already now that the wheat prices, they were over 400 euro, which were 2 months ago 250. So they probably, some of them, they expect that we will earn a huge amount of money.
Yeah, exactly. So people start, the investors start to see, the situation where we unfortunately are in.
Yeah, and of course, this company has so much potential that maybe the shares were even undervaluated,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So if you would compare, how profitable is the dairy unit compared to the other business units?
Well,
if you can share, I don't know, but it might be in the report actually.
It was 2 years ago the pig prices were extreme, and we were in the climbing result and performance process. So at that time we were not the best of the family, let's say, but now we are doing very well. So as I mentioned before, now the dairy is doing very well, I must say. The crop department is doing very well because the prices and pigs, they had a bad year, but that will fluctuate over the years, and that is why this model we have is that strong, because it is a stable situation.
Okay. a bit more into the dairy as such. So somebody wants to know, and we have not talked too much about it. So, and I'm not sure if that's happening at FirstFarms, but he would like to know how you deal with mastitis disease because, you know, in his opinion, most of the cows have become resistant to antibiotics. Is that also the case at FirstFarms, or?
No, we had in the past also a mastitis issue. Before I started here, they changed the bedding system from mattresses to deep bedding and used separated slurry as bedding material with added some chalk, and that should be it. But it was not controllable, more or less. In the wintertime, it was on a level which was acceptable but high. And in the summer, it went out of control. So last year we changed that material for straw pellets, and now we have it under control. We are roughly, maybe some will still think that's too high, but we are convenient with it. We are now between 0.5 and 0.78 of all cows in that group for treatment or observation. I mean, and
Okay.
our cell count is 100,000.
Okay.
Yeah. But cows being resistant for antibiotics, I cannot say that we have them.
No, and I don't know. I've not heard too much about it. I know that farms that feed a lot of antibiotic milk to calves are at risk, but not as. Other than that, I've not seen.
But that we don't do. When we have this type of waste milk, we feed it to the bull cows. Because the female don't get it.
There's quite a bit of reproduction questions, Vladimir. So, do you know what the conception rate is on the sensors and on the off-sync program?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we have. If we talk about the off-sync program, we have conception rate between sometimes 45, 48, maximum 50%. We had. But if we talk about the heat detection system, we have more or less more better. For example, 52, 53, 54. Yes, it's. But if we talk about again as how many percent we breed with heat detection, we have 70 or more.
Yeah, exactly. So the cows that are good cycling are, you know, detected anyway, and then you.
But maybe it's if they have a question, because you know we bred best of milking cows as our 15% of our cows with sex semen, but different between sex semen and the beef semen. Yes, it's maybe about if you talk about the sex semen 40, 43, 45%, and if you talk about the beef 55, 54, 50. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Somebody wants to know if you're making a difference in voluntary waiting period for first lactation cows and older cows.
On the past time, yes, we how many? Maybe about 1 year ago. Yes, only few months. I think maybe 3 months. Yes, we have a big 10 days difference between first lactation and second. But now all cows we start breed after 60 days. Yes.
And then somebody says, would you state that delaying your voluntary waiting period, so you to do your backdoor off-sync later, has been the most influential step in improving your reproduction in your herd?
I think we have only good if we talk about the fresh management, yes, or close-up group, yes. I think we have better feeding, yes, for this group, and I think this is really important thing. Yes, why
yes, that's what I think. So so that's how I know FirstFarms. You know, a lot of these key conditions to get reproductive success, let's say, are have been improved as well over the years, and further improved. They were already on a good level, but further improved. I think that's really making your success there. So let me see.
Maybe to add on, we do not force the animals. It's we try to create the conditions that they can express their capabilities, and we see that if we make these steps, and then we are not ended yet, but these improvements shows that the animals start to perform better, and what we are now inseminating, that will calve with 22 months and 15 days. But it's not because we want to have them, but they already have the weight on the right time that we can inseminate them. The same with the cows. We do not force them to the limit. It's we create conditions, and the cows do what they show what they can do with it.
There were some questions about your weighing moments. So do you know what ages do you weigh your calves and heifers?
Okay.
If you know, if you don't, yeah.
I don't know.
And do you take your weights at first lactation as well, or at nature cows, or you don't look at those?
Well, roughly we have when we scale the heifers before inseminating, so at the 10-11 months, then we can predict, hey, this is now their daily gain, so you can say in X weeks they have the weight. Then our high pregnant heifers, before calving, they weigh 700 kilo, and a mature cow, third lactation, 100 days in lactation, it weighs 740, 750 kilo.
Okay.
So it is 400, 110 at insemination, 600 of 700 at high pregnant, and 740. That's more or less the line you should follow.
Exactly. Just checking the questions here, which we didn't cover yet. So somebody wants to know about the milk price. It's always a hot topic.
Well, the milk price in Slovakia is a bit lower than in the rest of Europe, but we could, we have a contract which has an add-on to that price.
So you're really looking at primary agriculture production as FirstFarms. Was there any plans ever to look more at integrated, so food processing as well, or stuff like that, or that's not that been really?
As I mentioned in the beginning, everything is primary production, and but we are strongly looking for options to add value. That can be branding, but branding is a long-term strategy. But it can also be processing milk. But we have to look what step we will do and how we will, what concept we will put to this. But it's an actual topic for us as well.
Yeah, that's what I see a lot with larger dairies these days.
Yeah.
That they start to look more into to be more involved with the rest of the chain.
So vertical integration is also a possibility. We have to see. We are, yeah.
Okay. Maybe there's some more questions on Repro, Vladimir. So when you use an AI protocol, and if the cows or the heifers express heat before they finish the protocol, do you process to inseminate and let them grow off protocol, or do you finish the off-sync protocol?
Yes, but only few cows maybe. Yes, we inseminate before, but maybe this is the typical name is cherry picking. If you know, we do cherry picking, yes, because if you have for example, if we talk about the list for off-sync program, yes, and these cows start the heat in the morning on the Thursday, or when you put the gender age, yes, you breed her, yes. But after breeding, yes, you shot the gender age, yes. We do this methodic, but again, yes, I said all data which we had, we type, I and my brother, yes, because we are a repro team, and we type to the system automatically, okay, this is the repro code for off-sync cow, and if this cow is going to the off-sync, yes, 100% sure, you type to the system off-sync program, yes. This is one thing which we do, or yes, how many 5 years? Yes, which we started 5 years ago. Yes.
Okay.
This is one thing why we have the I think maybe correct data. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Do you happen to know, Vladimir, what bulls you are currently using, and if they're all Immunity Plus? That's what somebody wants to know. So if you can have some household names, if you know them, you can mention it, but I don't know if you know those names.
Now we used, for example, the Lugnut name of the bulls, yes, because I think this is really high production bull with really nice health trait, yes, if you talk about it, and yes, but to the future maybe we used more than 2 or 3 bulls, yes, because I think we like it, and maybe Shaq said the same thing, yes, we like production life, yes, or high production life. And we like sell beef calves, yes, and yes, this is our idea maybe.
Okay. All right. I think we went through most of the questions. Is there anything you want to add, Shaq, before we end the webinar today?
No, it was nice doing this, and nice experience. But further, yeah. No.
All right. So thank you very much, Shaq and Vladimir, for your participation and the possibility to get your presentation on FirstFarms, as well, all the openers and the answers today. I really enjoyed. I know you guys for a longer time, and see you progressing all the time, and I think that's impressive. And it's always nice to see what's next with FirstFarms. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you too.
And thank you to the audience as well. So as has been mentioned before, tomorrow there will be sent out an email with the recording and also an article with some more details on FirstFarm. So thank you all for your active participation, and we look forward to see you at our next webinar. Thank you.